EmpowHER series, which sees us having shows regarding all various topics, woman centric, and this is no different. I am your host for the next 2 hours. My name is Shahista Thokan, and my show's name is Marriage and Bliss. So last week, I had a show where I explained the reason for the particular topic. And instead of the phrase marital bliss, I decided to actually do something different and say marriage and bliss because, yes, marriage can be very blissful, but it can also be challenging. And I think that is the reality of the show and the type of discussions that we've had last week. So, apart from being an author, transformative coach, I am also a relationship counselor. And therefore, this topic really speaks to me, speaks to my skills and my experience. For the second installment of the show, Marriage and Bliss, I will be interviewing two particular guests that are able to shine light on the topic and give their insights. Alhamdulillah, last week, on Tuesday, sorry, it felt like a week ago already, we had a riveting show, and I had two guests, Nadia Adam as well as Ahmed Kaji, who shared and unpacked the premarital stages as well as how to grow in love, how to be independent in a marriage, as well as make improvements on the married life. There were lots of gems that came out of that show, and tips and tools and techniques on how to actually be prepared to live the rest of your life with somebody else. I also shared my favorite love story of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his first wife, Khadija radiallahu an, which I found to be inspirational to us all because it truly stood by the idea of what the union is during the ups and downs of married life. Now, we discuss the inconsistency of, these ups and downs, and we look at it almost like a heartbeat. If your heartbeat is at a plateau, it means that you're no longer living. And so be it the same as life. There are going to be ups and downs. They're going to fluctuate in moments, in happiness, in joy, in sorrow, and these type of emotions that are going to exist in a married life. Now, what throws a spanner in the works is it's two very different individuals living and housing themselves in this union of marriage. And with it comes different milestones. Now, we can equate marriage and married life to if we think of the growth stages of a human being, from the age of when we are born to a toddler phase, to an adolescent phase, to an adult phase. These different phases come with different forms of exposure to our identity. We learn different things about each other, our personalities, our likes, our dislikes, and certain experiences actually make us and mold us to who we become later on in life. I'm at an age now in my 40s where I feel like I'm still discovering who I am. I'm still finding out my strengths and my weaknesses. And that's what we need to anticipate in marriages is the idea that we are both individuals that are going to constantly grow, going to change, and acceptance of the other person and allowing them to actually fulfill that desire of becoming who they want to be is what marriage is all about. It is a relationship of, we said compromise, it's being considerate to one another, and also of communication. We need to communicate how we've changed to our spouse because remember, we are not mind readers as human beings. We don't know what the other person is thinking. So, without expressing it, we can't anticipate a reaction or a behavior to be the way we would like it to be. Now, I'm hoping the same passion comes through today in today's, session program as I host two guests on the topic of marriage. Khalid Jasat is one of them. He is a coach, mentor, and he will bring that male perspective on relationships to the show. And then I have a friend, Tumi Deane. She is the founder of the Miss and Mrs. Experience. It's an event that actually takes girls, young ladies, through the experience of their wedding day and their bridal experience. But she also can give us a bit of her own experiential knowledge on the topic of marriage and this journey of relationships. As always, I would like to start the show with a Dini insight of marriage. Marriage is said to be one of the most beautiful experiences of the human life, and it fulfills a sunnah for a Muslim believer. Now, we've spoken about it being half our iman and the need to marry to keep that, lineage of not only the family but also Islam alive, for us to have children who become the flag bearers of the next generation of the deen and continue to carry Islam forward through the generations. Now, the Prophet ﷺ has encouraged marriage as it was a continuation of mankind and Islam. It is a sunnah to be married. He encouraged us to procreate and to build strong families, instilling in the Islamic ethos. Inshallah, we would try our best as parents to also raise these type of children, show them what a healthy married life can be, and show them enlightened relationships where both the mum and the dad have the equality of respect as well as the voice in a marriage. And I think that's very healthy, because the new generation of women are stronger. We are career orientated, and we would like to be, the second income earner, but also the contributor in many different aspects of the married life. And that's where we are today in the second show. It's the maturity of taking that relationship, fixing what is broken, and helping our listeners out there. We had a lot of feedback from social media on what people would like to hear from the show, and I've tried my best to cater for that. So, inshallah, there's going to be lots to look forward to later on in the show. But now it brings me to believe that in order for couples to understand one another, we have to be able to fulfill each other's needs. And in order to fulfill each other's needs, we need to first know what the other person wants out of life, out of a relationship, and so on. There's an app that makes things so easy for people now. And, it allows couples to actually engage and find out what they really want. Like if someone had to ask me a while back, what do you need from a relationship, or what do you want from a marriage? I wouldn't have given it much thought, because we think marriage is just about liking a person and marrying that person. It is a huge adjustment. It is a mental adjustment, an emotional adjustment. So this particular quiz that I'm talking about is something that I actually like in my pre-marital counseling. I give it to the couples to actually do and take this quiz, and it determines their love language. I've personally used this quiz, and I played a game with my husband recently, as well as my 4 children, to determine their love languages and see, are we different? Are we the same? Are we ticking the boxes of when I am, providing certain gestures in a relationship to my children, to my husband? Is it actually what they are taking from me in a positive way and accepting as what they actually want from me? And that's what we have to understand in a marriage is you may be giving and giving and giving and not being recognized or appreciated, but have you sat and thought about the idea that maybe what you're giving is not actually needed or wanted by the other person? Um, I'm going to take a quick ad break before continuing with the prospect of what the love languages are. And I think it's really important that people go and Google this after the show, and even if it's a fun element, just to know about yourself. It's not attached to any religion, it's not attached to any values, it is not unethical in any way. It is just about getting to understand, what your likes are, what your dislikes are. And when we as human beings do the SWOT analysis, as we would do in a business, we get to learn things that really open our minds up as to how to best satisfy our goals and our purpose linked to what actual outcomes we want from life. So just stay tuned, and we will be back shortly.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like tib black seed. You can find tib black seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, yet many children go to school hungry because of poverty. Penny Appeal South Africa's Breakfast Club Aim to get a warm, hearty meal to underprivileged children so they can spend their day prospering in their schoolwork. Help feed a needy learner for only 5 Rand a day or 150 Rand a month. Or visit our website www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573 to find out how you can donate. Penny Appeal South Africa. Small change, big difference.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Albeit Lodge, your true home away from home. Albeit is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Albeit has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albeitlodge.co.za.
Online schooling? Why not? Kurtuba Online Academy is the leading global online Islamic school from grade R to matric, offering South African caps and international syllabus. And it doesn't stop there. We also offer online madrasa for every grade. For more information, visit www.kurtubaonline.co.za. Kurtuba Online Academy, the leading global online Islamic school.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity.
At the time, I didn't feel that great because I trained very hard and I couldn't take a picture on the podium because they wanted me to take my scarf off.
It was a confusing moment for all of us because it's never happened before. Nakiba also was feeling conflicting because she wanted to approach the podium.
At first, I never saw myself in completing a national tournament. I just tried my best along the way, but I wasn't expecting to be at that type of level.
A young South African 16-year-old Nakiba.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity.
Spread warmth this winter with Africa Muslims Agency's Winter Warmth campaign. Sayyidina Umar Al-Khattab radiallahu anhu would advise his companions, winter, which is an enemy, has come, so prepare for it with wool, leather socks and socks. Let us help the thousands of South Africans without adequate clothing or shelter to prepare for the harsh winter months by providing them with blankets for 150 Rand and winter warmth packs for 300 Rand. Spread warmth with Africa Muslims Agency. Call AMA on 011-834-8685 or donate online at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. You are with Shahista Thokan and we are discussing marriage and bliss. Prior to the break, I spoke about understanding your spouse and the love language in which they operate in. This actually means how are they reciprocating love, receiving love, but also expressing love. And it's important for us to get to know each other. I think in any stage of marriage, you never fully know and understand your spouse. I've been married 21 years and sometimes I look at my spouse and I say, oh, well, I didn't know this about you, you know. So I'm going to go through the 5 languages, and it's really important for me to discuss this because I think I want the takeaway today to be that you need to first, as an individual, understand yourself, understand your love language, and then understand your spouse in this. And there's going to be a link that's going to be shared later on by the studio, so that you may take the quiz just out of fun and just go with it and see, you'll be surprised at what your love language is. So the very first love language is words of affirmation. These are dictating that our thoughts become our actions, become our behaviors. And these emotions are vital. So they are encouraging and they motivating words of affirmation. So to another person, this is done in the form of a praise, whether it is verbal expression or it can be a written message. So it is in the form of an acknowledgement. Now, one of my children have words of affirmation as their love language. And I tend to then send them messages and say, well done, this, you really did well in this, you were amazing today, thank you for helping me. Now these words of affirmation make that child or that spouse feel motivated to do more because they're being recognized as that being their love language. That's how they feel love from the person that's sending those messages or saying these things. The second love language is quality time. Now, this we take for granted. So it's actually making time to celebrate the relationship and the life that you are blessed with. And it is done by first resetting the physical being. So if you as an individual are getting enough rest and getting enough, exercise in eating well, and you're feeling good about yourself, that is when you can give from your cup when it is full to the other person in the relationship, be it your children or your spouse. And before you can give another person time, remember, you need to take time for yourself. So quality time is, not these grandiose events in life. It's just about spending time and giving your attention to another person. That is a derived love language. The third would be acts of service. And traditionally, this is where women thought everyone's love language to be the same, acts of service. So the difference between service and serving is very important. And we need to know that difference because service is doing out of love and with a purpose. But serving someone is when we cook that food, have that meal preparation, organizing that home. And there's a very big difference there because a love language is specific to a person. And if you're doing something for someone, which is an act of service for them, they feel the love through the service. And I can give you an example here is I give my sons facials. That is a service, something that I'm doing out of love for them to take care of themselves, And my eldest son, whose love language is an act of service, he loves it. He thrives on it. But my other 3 sons see it as a real chore, as unnecessary. So do you see how a reciprocation or an acceptance of a love language is actually determined by that person's love language? It's not necessarily accepted by everybody because it is not their love language. The fourth is receiving gifts. And I really thought about this one as people practice this thinking that everyone appreciates it, but sometimes it could be pressurizing. I don't know if you've ever received a gift and felt, oh my gosh, now I have to reciprocate and give a gift in return. So when a person's specific love language is receiving gifts, we think about this materialism as tangible. People want to see the love that is being expressed to them. And gifting is a real big show of affection. It is spoiling someone that can increase that love between them. And it's actually a sunnah to exchange gifts because it does increase the love between people. So investing these, gifts as like visual reminders is what some other people may see as a love language, but not everybody. The last and the fifth one is physical touch. Now, there's something called the public display of affection. And we often see that some couples have that in their marriage where they're very, loving towards each other and emotional. And then we get the flip side where other couples are not as, displaying their public affection and so on. It's just a matter of personality and levels of comfort in doing it. So the daily reminders of love and attraction is more important in physical touch. So even if you are in your own home situation, that chemistry that needs to constantly occur in a couple is vital because it keeps them in tune in terms of the intimacy, which strengthens the connection between two people. However, if physical touch is not another person's love language and you think it as, it can become a discomfort to that individual or to that spouse. And, some of us may feel like, it's taken as disrespect, but often we need to remember not to judge people that are affectionate because that is particularly who they are and what they like. In terms of this love languages, according to the quiz, the answers actually dictate what you prefer. And this means that the individual is most inclined to feel love and to find happiness in their love language. And it allows the partner then to actually not, guess. But actually communicate on the level in which the outcome was based. So it's really a nice tool that I think couples should do to learn each other, as well as with your children. It's something fun. I did it with my youth workshops, and they had a lot of fun just learning about themselves and what they like and don't like. And surprisingly enough, not everyone liked gifts, which was a funny one. So marriage, as we said, requires effort. It is about staying married that is the hard work. So again, that longevity of a lifelong commitment, till death do us part mentality, that we often need to put the seriousness in our marriages about staying committed and staying patient through this journey. And there will always be challenges which couples will have to face as a test. And I think we need to actually learn how to shift our focus to the required outcome and not just, the current problem that exists in our marriages. It's every time we have an argument or a fight or a problem, and it can be as big or as little, we need to constantly put our minds to, I want to be with this person tomorrow, next year, until death do us part. And when you have that outcome in your mind, you'll realize how small or how fickle some of our marriage challenges and obstacles are. um, a few questions that we actually need to check in, if I say in our marriages, on our status of our marriages, is what we need to ask ourselves. Is there trust in our marriage? Is there enough communication? And communication is not about your grocery list, about what your children are doing, who's picking up, and so on. Communication is actual conversations that you have as two adults in a marriage. The third question I like to ask is there physical intimacy? Because this needs to be given a lot of space in a marriage. It connects people on a different level, not only emotionally, and it's much easier when you have physical intimacy to always be in a mental space that is positive. Are you living as roommates? And I often ask couples this because sometimes we don't even talk to our spouses. We just exist, we coexist in a home, and that's really unhealthy. We are not each other's roommates by any means. We are partners and spouses that need to share this life and groom these children and have this, happy ending that we all want to strive for. The connection needs to stay alive in marriages. And the last thing that I like to ask people is, can you actually see a future with the person that you are married to? How do we fix this if our answers are actually surprisingly negative? Well, as a relationship coach, I never give advice, but I always give a different perspective on things. And we need to actually nurture the marriage. We need to treat it as something that is always on eggshells, and we need to make better. And when we have that, we actually put a lot of effort into it and a lot of focus onto it. And sometimes it will just mean taking a trip together, sometimes alone, sometimes together, sometimes with kids, without kids. I think these are things that are important. It may be a trip apart that you need, because they say absence makes the heart go fonder. And I think we learn to appreciate another person in their absence. Um, there needs to be a healthy dose of also nostalgia in a couple where you reminisce about the past, the good times. And I think those good old memories are there for a reason. They reignite the passion, they reignite the sense of commitment that we feel towards each other. And they remind us of why we actually got into this marriage in the first place, the positive elements of the person, the home life that we envision together. These are all things that lead to the sustainability and longevity in marriages. So now we are heading to our ad break before I bring on my first guest, which I'm very excited for because Tumi can enlighten us on relationships and I adore her. I'm looking forward to our conversation together. So let's take a quick ad before we head over to the first guest.
Salam Media.
Spread warmth this winter with Africa Muslims Agency's Winter Warmth campaign. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu would advise his companions, winter, which is an enemy, has come, so prepare for it with wool, leather socks and socks. Let us help the thousands of South Africans without adequate clothing or shelter to prepare for the harsh winter months by providing them with blankets for 150 Rand and winter warmth packs for 300 Rand. Spread warmth with Africa Muslims Agency. Call AMA on 011-834-8685 or donate online at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency. Empowering, educating, inspiring.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
At Sentio, our Invest for Good philosophy is based on a genuine desire to use our investment skills for the benefit of broader society by investing responsibly, giving charitably, and developing talent that will transform the investment industry. Visit www.sentio-capital.com for more information about our Sharia investment products and start saving with us today. Sentio Capital. Invest for good. Sentio Capital Management is an authorized financial services provider.
When you give water, you're reaching out to drought-affected areas, bringing them to life. Fresh water to drink, to clean, and to grow. That's the power of water. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Marriage and Bliss here on Salam Media this Women's Month. The Empower Her series is specifically to shine light on the women and the amazing work that they're doing out there. So my first guest for today's show is no stranger to the media space. Tumi Deane Makhu is a wife, mum, and businesswoman, and a bridal coach with a flair of the finer things in life. And I'm sure if you see her Instagram, you'll know what I mean. She's an advocate for all things girl power and is the founder of the Miss to Mrs. Bridal Experience platform, which initiates that women share their experiences through the marriage and bridal experience. Her platform initiatives are aimed at empowering women. Tumi is a dear friend, and as I said earlier, I adore her, and I'm so happy, Tumi, to have you today. Thank you so much for your time. Tumi, can you turn your volume up, sweetheart? Okay, we're going to just quickly cross for Nasheed while we get Tumi to reconnect.
The Turkey-Syria earthquake is among the deadliest earthquakes of the last century. Thousands have lost their lives, and large areas and cities and towns in southern Turkey and northern Syria have turned to rubble, leaving huge numbers of residents with very little or nothing at all. Al-Imdad Foundation's emergency relief team is on the ground providing life-saving aid. The people of Turkey and Syria desperately need your support. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.
So when you want to develop yourself, you need to understand that you are actually developing you. That's what self-development is about. It's about you. So I'm saying to somebody, for example, if I need to develop me, I'm developing me for me first. I think there are so many factors that you can think about. The key factors are what exactly would it be that would motivate you to want to actually develop yourself. The key things I think people should realize is it should not be the power of this world. It should not be status. It should not be money oriented. It should not be fame. It should be just about you.
Professor Mehreen Mia.
Salam Media, humanitarian journalism.
Celebrate the power of her this Women's Month with Salam Media. Tune in to Empower Her every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 to 1 p.m. as we bring to you a variety of shows hosted by inspirational, trailblazing, and groundbreaking women. August is for women, by women, only on Salam Media.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, yet many children go to school hungry because of poverty. Penny Appeal South Africa's Breakfast Club aims to get a warm, hearty meal to underprivileged children so they can spend their day prospering in their schoolwork. Help feed a needy learner for only 5 Rand a day, or 150 Rand a month. Or visit our website www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573 to find out how you can donate. Penny Appeal South Africa. Small change, big difference.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. We're having a bit of a technical issue getting our guest online, but I suppose we have to take these things like we do in marriage with a pinch of salt and try and just make things better. But while we're waiting, I actually read something so beautiful yesterday on Instagram, and I would love to read it out to you. It's a poem on marriage, and I'm going to then dissect it and talk to you a little bit about it because I felt it really hit all the notes of what I was trying to encapsulate by this program called Marriage and Bliss. So the poem is by Shuaib Rumi, and it goes like this. To grow old together, to find beauty in your every wrinkle and grey hair, to never cower before our troubles, nor dare surrender, but bravely face our storms together as one. To find shelter in each other's company, and safety to speak our truths. To live with the finitude of life in mind, and to love with infinity in our hearts. To never be me and you against the world, but the both of us for it. As we pass through the mighty and maverick rivers of love, flowing towards our origin and return. Now, I think this was such an apt, compilation of what marriage is, because it spoke about how with age and with time, people do change, not only physically, but also, emotionally, mentally, physiologically, and to accept that that person will never remain the same, but truly to the core, be that person that you fell in love with and loved in the first place. But to navigate that patience in the marriage, to nurture the growth of the other individual is very necessary. The support of a spouse is unmatched. It cannot come from a parent and it cannot come from a child or a sibling, because a spouse is actually an identity that forms in the largest way with their partner. And when they talk about seeking this shelter and speaking truths, it's often about what the Prophet ﷺ said, that we are garments unto each other. I think it was in the Quran that was mentioned. And we need to be honest and open in our marriages. We cannot be ashamed to tell our truth, and we cannot be difficult in accepting the other person's truth and judgmental in that regard. So it's about the whole experience of marriage being so pure and remaining in it to the ultimate goal, which is the return to our creators. So spiritually thriving and, accepting that marriage is a forever thing. I'm going to now try again to reconnect with my guest. Bismillah. Tumi, are you there, sweetheart?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much. So we're going to really just get into this before any other glitches happen. I am fascinated to hear your story. So what made you join this bridal industry?
I think I joined the bridal industry. I've always been passionate about fashion. But when I was getting married, I specifically saw that there was a gap in the market for suppliers that understood people of color, they understood our culture, they understood the type of marriages and the type of weddings that we have. And that really inspired me to think, okay, let me just get into this retail industry and get into the bridal industry and see if I can provide something that is much more bespoke, but also providing women with a comfortable space that they will feel comfortable in with the person that they purchasing their wedding gown from.
So I always make an intention to come to your events, and also I'd love to attend the particular one that's up and coming, which is most relevant to today's show. It's the Miss to Mrs. experience. What made you start hosting this particular event?
I started hosting this particular event because a lot of us women, when the man proposes, we're very excited. So our main focus becomes on the wedding day versus preparing for a marriage. Marriage is a beautiful gift from God. It is long term. However, you do need to be prepared for it mentally, spiritually, physically. You need to be prepared for it. So there's not a lot of platforms or avenues where women can learn how to prepare to be a wife and how to, harness themselves in getting into marriage and really thrive in a happy marriage. So our bridal experience it's a day that gives women the opportunity to learn from legal experts of marriage, understanding how do I get married? Is it in community property? Is it out of community property? The advantages, the disadvantages, understanding financial planning within a marriage. How are you going to manage your money before and after the marriage? And actually teaching you how to have the difficult conversations that ordinary women are too scared to have with their partner. giving them
And
those
can you
skills to
share
be able.
on that? Can you share some of the information imparted to these brides in that event? So you mentioned, the financial repercussions of becoming married, the career orientation of certain women. But what other type of advices do you feel that there is a need for?
There's also a need for women to get to know who they are, because remember, when you are getting married, you come as you are, as a single person, with your own trauma, with your own pain, with your own story, with your own history and your own family. So you need to be able to have skills and knowledge in terms of how am I now going to define this new person that I'm going to become, that is going to be called a wife, a mother, going forward. So we do give women empowerment skills in really facing their fears, facing their pain, and being able to define themselves and know what are the avenues that are available for them in the future, when they need help that they need, be it coaching, be it counseling. Those are some of the things that we empower women with. Because long term, today you are happy you're getting married, it's your wedding day, but after that, the children come. They come with their own problems, with their own dilemmas, with their own challenges, and you might feel frustrated. That's how you end up with women that are really, really depressed in marriages. It's not the marriage itself, it's how we are dealing with the pressure of life. And we need to be able to take that on hands on.
And what do you find are some of the common questions asked by these potential brides at this event? Because I'm sure there's a lot of trepidation and a lot of seeking from you for assistance on how to cope and how to go forth with the marriage. So some of those questions that are pertinent to our listeners out there.
One of the important things, two things that women are very scared to talk about and address with their partners, one being finances. When you're dating somebody or courting somebody, you're not going to really ask them, how much are you earning? How are you going to look after us? What is the future of this family? How are we going to have a vision for our family? So women are asking, how do I have the difficult conversations with my partner? How do I communicate with them? How do I set boundaries with family? Because your marriage is affected by other people, but it's up to the two of you in terms of how you're going to then define the culture of your family when you come together, and including your family that you come from. So a lot of women are, they're stuck on the communication issues mainly, and communication plays a huge role in any relationship. So it's just empowering them to say, do I sit down? Do I go for counseling? Do I go for premarital counseling? Do I do it in a family sector where I call my uncles and my aunts and they guide us in how we can navigate this new marriage? And also, the other thing that women don't understand, legal aspects of marriage. You have women that come to the event and they say, look, I just found out my partner has children outside our marriage, and I found out about this after getting married. What do I do? So those are some of the issues that women are faced with, and they don't know, how do I navigate the legal side of things without saying, okay, I'm getting divorced, but there is an issue now in the marriage. How do we resolve it?
And that's why I think I admire the platform that you've created so much, is because it's almost like a safe space for where women can come and open-heartedly speak, because what they realize is they're not alone in this. There are many that actually can reciprocate and have the same type of experience as they can and offer that advice and help. So to me, how has the mindset of the modern bride changed as compared to the traditional bride, do you think?
I always think of that question because I've been asked it before, but I think at the core, women are women. The struggles that my mother faced then are some of the struggles that I still face now as a modern day wife. However, technology has equipped us and given us opportunities of dealing with things differently. We know during COVID, people had online weddings where the wedding was being streamed, where traditionally you wouldn't be doing that. But I think the modern day wife is much more assertive than the traditional wife, and because we also have careers that we strive for, we find that women are much more pushy. What I do admire about the traditional wife is that they also understood very clearly what their role was about. With the modern day wife, we can confuse what being a wife is and what we see on social media. I tell people what you're seeing on social media is not the reality of what when you go home
Yes.
with
Yes.
husband and children is.
Yes.
And that's where the modern wife sometimes loses it. We think that it's all about what I'm seeing on TV or on social media, and it's not that. We really need to be able to understand fully when somebody says, I'm making you a wife, what does that entail? And that's where the traditional wife, understood it from like our parents and our moms.
Right. And I also see that, in my space of when I do meet the modern age bride, and I see the bravery because of the liberation that they feel being, career women and having that independence financially. And it takes a lot of grooming of these young girls who are so in a space of where they are exposed to social media and the whole feminist mindset to say, when you are opening up yourself to marriage, you are actually allowing another person into a space where you need to firstly make them feel secure as well as feel secure yourself. And I think that's where the young modern brides need to actually compromise and be more compassionate to the idea of marriage, because it is not about only equality in a marriage. It's many other facets that we need to give love and attention and care to. So, to me, if you could go back to the age when you were getting married, what would you do differently?
For me, I would have done more research and I would have had the conversations openly with my partner before getting married. Sitting them down and really talking about if we're going to be planning a family, how many
Yeah.
kids do you want? How many kids am I prepared to mother? Things like that we take for granted.
Yeah.
And once you're in the marriage, sometimes it's difficult because expectations are not aligned. What he thought I was going to be the type of wife when he's dating me and what the type of wife that I then present can become two different stories, and just having that courage to present the true self that I am. I tell women that when you are dating, sometimes we are fake and we agree to a lot of things that in the long run you get tired of, and you're like, oh my, I didn't buy into this. But you didn't buy into this because this is the package you presented to the man, and he bought into that package. So then it becomes, again, expectations that are misaligned, the fighting begins, and there's no
Yes.
harmony in that. So we truly need to, as women, be honest. Yes,
Yeah.
you want to be secure in your life, you want to be happy in your life, but be honest with the partner that you are going to embark on a journey with. Truly be honest and say, is this the partner that I'm going to love unconditionally? And I'm going to allow this man to lead us. Because I tell
Yes.
the ladies at the event to say, when they teach us about submission and submitting to a man, it's not slavery. It's
Yeah.
that it is a natural thing that happens, that a man is the head of the home. You are the neck that is supporting that head. And unless you are prepared to be under his leadership, in most cases that marriage does not work. You need to be prepared to know that this is where I fit in and this is where my partner and my husband fits in. He's going to take the leadership and I'm going to allow him to lead. You can lead in the boardrooms. But in
Yeah.
marriage, it's a
Yeah.
different story.
Yeah. I understand. Excellent. So, to me, one last question before I let you go. What are some of the tips? You've been married for a while as well, that you would give to maintain a stable marriage?
Have fun. Don't stress over the small things. and make them big things. If your partner has made a mistake, recognize the mistake. If you say you have forgiven somebody, truly forgive. Don't say you are okay when you are not okay.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time to me today and the valuable input. This is going to be streamed on YouTube thereafter, so you can definitely share the link. I appreciate your advice, and I think it's important that we had this conversation. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day. We will chat soon.
So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, goodbye, Tooms.
Bye.
We're going to quickly take an ad break and then head back to the discussion on marriage and bliss.
Rejuvenating media day by day.